I don't know about you, especially this week, the AI fatigue is real. Let's just jump right into the news and go through what we're going to talk about, which is basically Amazon Nova. Yes, Amazon do have an AI. Gemini 2.5 dropped this week, which is an amazing new model. Microsoft teaming up with XAI, or better known as Grok.
Breaking
Apple,
up with some.
well, here we go. This is where
We
we're going to
have
get
a
into, right?
triangle of love there.
Apple teaming up with Anthropic, so a lot of teamwork going on here between
Oh, wow.
parties. Windsurf 8, which is the code editor, and then finally, I don't know. We'll get into the Figma stuff.
Yeah, I'll cover that.
Right, let's get into it. Let's talk about Amazon Nova. So, gosh, I hate looking at anything AWS. Like, look at that. Everything they do is just disgusting. But what they have done is not so disgusting. They have their own generative AI models, and they've got 3 models which they're quite excited about, or 4 actually, but we'll get into why it's only 3. Really quite capable models. Now, I have my Jupyter Chat app, shameless plug here. I just put it in today, and it's not bad. Like, the model is not that bad. You've got 3 models here, basically. You've got
Hmm.
Light, Micro, and Pro. Both Pro and Light can kind of they're both multimodal. Well, they can take images. I think they can take video as well. Micro is text based. The context window, which I think is a big thing at the moment, you've got 125K for Nova Micro, Nova Light, which is 300K, Pro, which is also 300K, and then Nova Premiere, which they've not entirely launched it yet, but they've kind of announced it.
What is the biggest context window we have? Isn't it like a million or 2?
Well, just over a million. Quite a few models actually support a million. These, I mean, it depends what you're using it for, really. I mean, realistically, for like Nova is really good for chat, like quick responses and like text summarization, translation. This is the price that we're looking at the moment for all of the
Ah,
different models that we support. If we go right down, you've got flashlight. Here we got Nova Micro all the way down here, like costing
crazy.
barely anything. Nova Pro here, so still even the Pro one is really quite a reasonable price.
Do we
Same with
know
the
if these are losing, like if, for
oh
example,
no.
Amazon is losing money on this? Probably, right?
Good shout. You know, Amazon are like notorious for, not notorious for it, but they have a lot of money to kill. You know,
Yeah.
they have a lot of money to spend. So it's no doubt that they're making a loss on something like this, because they made a loss on AWS and now they own half the internet. So their
Yeah.
strategy to do that kind of works. But, you know, it's yet to be seen. Some other things here that I haven't looked into, but Nova Canvas, state-of-the-art
Ah,
image generation, and then state-of-the-art video generation model as well. So these could be quite interesting. Um,
everybody is doing that nowadays. So it's
yeah.
it's like very soon you'll have so many tools to do just the same thing.
The first thing that came into my mind was, are they going to stick it in Alexa? Because Alexa, although it isn't quite AI, it's kind of the OG kind of, oh, there's a computer that I can talk to it and it can do stuff for me. Died a
And it's
death. I thought they
everywhere.
might bring it to that. Yeah. Yeah, so many people have them. I don't know what
Yeah.
the and it's all dished off to AWS anyway. So it's probably a more than capable model. It's just sending and receiving, you know, text to speech or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, interesting stuff. So Amazon has entered the chat, and I have to say, from my brief experience with it using Jupyter Chat, it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's move on to Gemini, because I produced 2 videos for Gemini this week. They had Gemini 2.0, which was already, if we go to the leaderboard here.
I'm just gonna say here, I was confused, honestly. When I saw
Let's
your
go on.
video, I was like, didn't we already have Gemini 2.5? But we had
So
2.0, right?
yeah, so
I'm
you've got the
just, yeah.
experiment model, and they released the experiment model before they released the preview model. So we
And
have
it's on the top.
experimental, and this was already pretty good. You know, it was a pretty good model. My personal experience with this, I've used it heavily today. It is good. Well, sometimes it's hard to say. So the second video I released was using it in Firebase Studio, and we'll get into that in a second. And I was running into problems. Whereas when I was using it in Windsurf, I was just I vibe coded a whole new two features and launched them today in Jupyter Chat. And 2.5 Pro just handled it without a hitch. That could be because I know the code base more. I know kind of like I can reference files, and my knowledge of the code was a lot better, so I might have just got better results. And this is another point of discussion that's quite difficult, is it's really hard to pit AIs up against each other. And I think I've seen something that might make the next, maybe next week, if we get good feedback on this, a way to test different models. Now, you kind of want to send them all the same prompt and see how they do, but everything's debatable. And we've kind of missed it this week, and I'll bring it back. But OpenAI had to revert 4.5, I think it was, because they were over generous and whatever.
The glazing.
The glazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was extra generous. Anyway, point is, I've had really good results with 2.5 Pro preview today on a code base inside of Windsurf that I know. So read into that what you will. But it's definitely, I mean, going back to the article here, it's multimodal for a start. And it can take images, it can take video, massive like million context window, as all of Gemini models are like. They were so excited about this. They were supposed to release it at Google I/O and at the end of the month, I think, but they kind of released it obviously as like a preview. This is what is very interesting: video to code. I'm thinking this is a video that they've made. Maybe this is something built in After Effects or something like that, but then it can take the video and put it into code, which is amazing. Wow. You can go play with it now on Google AI Studio. And if you have Gemini on the app, you actually get the canvas. So you can tell it to write code or produce something, and it will actually display the live preview of the code that's actually doing it. So, and of course you can do it in Jupyter Chat, little plug there. Yeah. So the other area, and we touched on it briefly just now, is Firebase Studio. I know they're all kind of free, but this is a free vibe coding app built by Google, which has I love this interface. I don't know, what do you think, Mr. Design?
Mr. Design, this looks cool. This looks pretty good.
Is newly using 2.5 under the hood. I released a video yesterday, and then literally a few hours later it was like, we're announcing that. Go on.
Click out and inside of that window again, like that. Ooh, that transition. Nice. Oh, nice.
I mean, just to wrap up on Gemini 2.5, really interesting model. For first-hand experience, I've had really good impressions of it. Give it a whirl. Select it from in cursor. Give it a whirl. You can see Grok, right?
In 1 second. Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So basically, I mean, we talk about a four-way. So Microsoft want to host Grok on Azure, so their own servers and stuff like that. And obviously, Elon Musk got kicked out of OpenAI. He claims to have named
the drama
OpenAI. And he wanted it to go for profit.
He wanted it to merge it with Tesla.
Kind of confusing. Did he?
Yeah. There are like leak emails where he pushed the board to actually merge it with Tesla, and he didn't get his way with it, so they got separated, and he's now beefing with Sam Altman.
Now he's very upset that they took a lot of not-for-profit benefits, so a lot of not-for-profit funding, and then said, oh, we're actually going to be for-profit. But then you've got Azure were supporting or hosting OpenAI, and that was a way to get OpenAI enterprise stuff. So there was a kind of synergy there between those two. And now OpenAI obviously are going looking at Windsurf, and now you've got Microsoft talking to Elon about hosting Grok on Azure. So it just sort of feels like there's this real messy situation going on, like a messy relationship going on between the four of them.
Feels like a lot of personal issues mixed with like literally billion-dollar companies like.
And then finally, then, like, just a little addendum to that is that OpenAI have announced that they're basically going all in back onto the non-for-profit stuff, in that they have still, the not-for-profit still has a large majority sharehold over the for-profit arm or something. So I think they've downsized the for-profit arm. So I mean, that's something I don't necessarily want to get too much into, just because it's not I'm not so hot on it, but it's just, there's a lot of moving and shaking going on. Also, on the same sort
Apple
of
and
yeah, Apple and Anthropic, which, I mean, Apple need the help, all the help they can get with their AI stuff. They're failing miserably. We've spoken
yeah.
at length about Siri and how terrible it is. They're moving it into Xcode, so it's not like it's going to be, we're not gonna see this in Siri very quickly, but it
Okay,
does
good to
open the
know.
doors for what they're going to learn from this partnership, this integration. So you could see a vibe coded version of Xcode floating around, which is also really kind of interesting. So there's a lot of partnerships happening right now. I'm not quite sure what to make of it, but I think all this cross pollination of all these companies might see good things, bad things come up out of them.
A lot of love triangles.
Let's just wrap up on Windsurf, and then we'll get into the big finale, a bit of Figma. So Windsurf 8, which is a really interesting multi-phase drop. They did 3 drops, which primarily, and this is where I get sort of anxious about it, which primarily focused on enterprise, well, not specifically enterprise, but you can read between the lines on that. Focus on teams. I mean, there were some really interesting features that I liked, which was custom workflows, which are when you type like / or @ I forget which one it is, you can then set up just a workflow to follow that, whatever it is you type. I quite like that. Lots of MCP improvement, which was as cool. You can have a knowledge base, and you can have deploys from right within cursor. So a lot of like quite nice features, but I think most of them are reserved for enterprise and teams. I don't know, are they going to be the corporate, tool editor of choice? Are they going to start charging for features potentially? I don't know. It just sort of feels like there's this push to actually make significant money, or to be, again, just to be the corporate code editor of choice. I don't know. So yeah, a lot of moving, a lot of shaking at the moment. I mean, as always, I'm super curious to see how this will be, how all these acquisitions, how all these mergers, how all these partnerships. It's the week of partnerships, I think, to be honest. That and good old Gemini 2.5 throwing its weight around in there, but definitely a week of mergers and acquisitions and partnerships for sure. Should we dig into the exciting news of the century,
Yeah,
which I called over a year ago?
Figma sites.
Well, I mean, there's a few things. Is Figma sites. You've got Figma Draw, which is basically taking on.
It's mostly like Illustrator and a Sketch,
but it's a separate app.
No, inside of Figma. So if we just add a new design, and here we have these 3 icons instead of 2. So I can draw.
Ooh,
and
look at that.
Yeah, I'm an artist, right? We can take this, whatever design that we have here, and copy it and basically start building a website. So what you see right now is not Figma design. This is Figma sites. They are very similar looking, but the first thing that you see here, like this side, this is the pages. We get back to this, but here we have these elements. So you can add some pre-made stuff. You can add embeds like Google Maps, YouTube, URL, or HTML. I'll show you this in a second. It's really laggy.
Beta.
Yeah. These are templates provided by Figma themselves. So if I click on this and then preview it, then check the headings, there is absolutely 0 heading. And I have no idea why they haven't added any heading. And this is one of the many issues that there are. How do you feel about divs?
How do I feel about divs? I love divs.
You love divs. So this is the div maze that we have for this footer. I would say at least like 4 divs are extra, like not needed, at least 4. Yeah, these are a few things. There are, man, a bunch of other things I'm like playing around with. But the examples that they are showing are insanely bad. I have no idea why they are showing these bad examples. Let me show you one last thing. This is Figma Make, and this is the vibe coding tool. It's getting a bit like complex with what is a separate tool in Figma and what is not. Make lives, at least it seems like, inside of Figma sites. It's a tab, and you click this, you open a window, and you can chat with AI to build your component. What's really, really cool to me is that you can actually bring that to your website. You see this option here? It's not available yet, but in the not far future, you build your entire website with Figma. The simple stuff, you just build them with whatever you have. For the more complex stuff, you can literally vibe code it and put that component inside.
So just to be clear, you can't use Make right now. Make is not.
No.
They've announced it, but it's all grayed out. You can't do any sort of vibe coding on there.
Nothing. No, just Figma
Vibe
sites.
designing,
Just
whatever you want to call it. To me, this feels so rushed. Like nothing was prepared. You're right. The code is terrible, and I think it was Theo that brought up the product manager or designer or whatever. She's only been working there since January.
It is very rushed. Like even the templates, they are just so like so many bugs How do you put a slider in a template that you showcase as your like best work, like the first one that shows up, and the slider does not work? It just does not work.
Didn't they release some other like Make and Buzz? I think I had down.
They did add Buzz as well. Buzz is basically what's it called? Canva. So you have templates for Instagram story, but it seems like we have a design mode. If I click design mode, then it's essentially Figma. This is the cool part. Like you go to AI and you tell AI to generate you a list of 1,000 items for your whatever marketing.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, and then ChatGPT, instead of 1,000, will give you 200, and it will gaslight you into thinking that is 1,000.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for tuning in. But also, I'm really keen to get some guests on and share in the news of, AI of the week and just have their perspectives. So if you are watching this and you're keen to be on the show, get in contact with me and we'll consider having you on the show, if that's all right with you, Gabaza.
Yeah, of course.
Cheers for tuning in, everyone. We will see you soon. We're getting more love on the chat. I love that. That's cool. Great stuff. Right. See you soon.